What if I told you that these are the biggest sex freaks in reggae music history? From Bob Marley, who fathered children with countless women while still married, to Ninja Man, who once bragged about having 33 kids with 32 different baby mothers. Here are the 12 biggest sex freaks in reggae music history. Yellowman. Yellowman is a legendary figure in Jamaican reggae and dancehall music. He came onto the scene in the late 1970s and rose to fame in the early 1980s with a wave of energetic, fearless, and often very explicit songs. Yellowman helped shape what modern dancehall sounds like, and many people credit him with almost single-handedly creating the rough, raw, and unfiltered style that defines the genre today. His first real moment of fame came in 1978 when he entered the Tosti Talent Contest. He placed second that year, but he came back stronger in 1979 and won the whole thing. That victory launched his professional career, and from there, he never looked back. Like many Jamaican DJs, Yellowman built his skills by performing at outdoor sound system dances, especially with Aces International, one of the hottest crews at the time. In the early 1980s, Yellowman started working with top producer Henry Junjo Laws, and that's when things really took off. His 1982 debut album, Mr. Yellowman, became an instant success. However, what really got people talking was his obsession with explicit music. Yellowman wasn't shy about it. In fact, he practically built his entire brand around it. His lyrics were wild, freaky, and straight-up nasty. Songs like Mad Over Me were full of boasts about how good he was in bed, and he didn't care who was listening. If there was one thing Yellowman made clear, it's that he loved sex, and he wanted everyone to know just how much. People criticized him for it, calling it slackness, a term in dancehall for songs with sexually explicit or vulgar lyrics. But Yellowman defended his music by saying, "I never know why they call it slackness. I talk about, but it's just what happens behind closed doors. What I talk is reality." He was a full-blown sex freak, and he wore that title with pride. In 1984, he got the chance to take things even further when Columbia Records signed him to their label. His debut under Columbia was the album King Yellowman, but unfortunately it didn't do well. The label pushed him to change his sound, adding elements of R&B and disco, which didn't sit right with his dancehall audience. Fans wanted freaky Yellowman, not soft Yellowman, and the album flopped. CBS dropped him soon after, but Yellowman didn't let that stop him. He went right back to what he did best, dropping slack lyrics, turning up the heat, and proving why he was the king of sex-driven dancehall. His bold style sometimes included lyrics that were homophobic, which brought more controversy. But in later interviews, Yellowman clarified that he didn't support violence or hate. He said, "Everybody listen to me. I don't do songs against gay people. I don't do violent lyrics against gay people. If you don't like a person or you don't like a thing, you don't talk about it. You don't come on stage and say kill them or burn them because everybody have a right to live." Lady Saw. Lady Saw, also known as the original Queen of Dancehall, is one of Jamaica's most famous and fearless singers. Her career lasted for more than 2 decades, and during that time she didn't just make hits, she shocked crowds, broke rules, and turned the dancehall scene upside down. Most people today remember her for her Grammy-winning feature on No Doubt's Underneath It All, a track that went triple platinum and reached number 3 on the US charts. But long before that, Lady Saw was already setting the dancehall world on fire with her raw, unapologetic lyrics and wild stage presence. Local producers noticed her performances, and soon she was recording tracks like Love Me or Left Me and If Him Left, which quickly got heavy airplay. With the buzz growing, Lady Saw released her first album, Lover Girl, in 1994. That album had the hit song Stab Up Da Meat, which made it very clear that Lady Saw wasn't here to play nice. She was here to talk dirty, stir things up, and take over. In 1996, her second album, Give Me the Reason, dropped, and it was loaded with some of the freakiest songs dancehall had ever heard. Tracks like Life Without Dick and Name No Stand Fi Sex were explicit. She followed up with Good Wook, Give Me the Reason, and Condom, and every one of those songs made it clear. Lady Saw was a freak, loud and proud. She didn't hold anything back. Her third album, Passion, came out in 1997 and hit number 8 on Billboard's top reggae albums chart. The songs Healing and Sycamore Tree kept the heat coming. A year later, she released her greatest hits album, Raw, The Best of Lady Saw, which told the story of her freaky rise to the top in one package. By the end of 1998, she dropped her fourth studio album, 99 Ways, and it charted again, this time at number 10. But through all the fame and hits, what really made Lady Saw stand out was her slackness. In Jamaican culture, slackness means saying or doing things that are considered vulgar or sexual. Her shows were so raw that some were banned in parts of Jamaica, even though male artists performing equally dirty lyrics didn't face the same restrictions. That double standard made her furious. She clapped back with the song Freedom of Speech, calling out the hypocrisy and demanding her right to express herself. Bibs Cartel. Bibs Cartel is one of the most famous and most controversial names in dancehall music. He rose to fame with sharp lyrics, wild stage energy, and a bad boy image that split opinions right down the middle. From early in his career, Bibs Cartel knew how to push people's buttons. In 2004, his nomination for the UK's MOBO Awards was taken back after people complained about the homophobic lines in his songs. Cartel was used to this kind of backlash, but instead of backing down, he leaned into the chaos. He was the type of artist who didn't care what polite society thought. In Jamaica, certain topics were considered off-limits. Talking about oral was taboo, but Bibs Cartel didn't care. He came right out and sang about it. And in doing so, he flipped the script on Jamaican sexuality. He basically told people, "You might not want to admit it, but we all freaks behind closed doors, so let's stop pretending." Whether it was his love for freaky girls or his over-the-top bedroom fantasies, Cartel wasn't shy about anything. He brought the kind of energy that made people blush and dance at the same time, but his mouth got him in trouble more than once. In 2011, the government of Guyana banned him completely from the airwaves. That was the first time they had ever banned a specific artist. They said his music was too nasty and brought nothing positive to the public. Elephant Man. Elephant Man is a Jamaican artist known for his wild energy, crazy hair, and booming voice. He didn't wait long to blow up. In 2004, his song All Out landed in a Puma commercial during the Olympics, putting his name on the international map. By the time 2006 rolled around, Willie Bounce had people jumping in clubs and on street corners all over Jamaica. That song alone, borrowing its beat from Gloria Gaynor's I Will Survive, became a classic. Elephant Man kept the hits coming. He signed with Bad Boy Records in New York and dropped Let's Get Physical in 2007, with features from heavyweights like Wyclef Jean, Diddy, and Busta Rhymes. Elephant Man is a certified freak. The man said himself in front of cameras that he had kids with at least 20 different women. That's baby mothers, not just one-night flings. His first child came when he was only 17, and from there it was like he couldn't stop. Some reports say he has at least 38 children, maybe even more. One of his sons, Ashanti Bryan, even called him out publicly for disowning him and said there were a bunch more siblings just like him. In 2012, Elephant Man was arrested and charged with assault. A 31-year-old woman accused him of attacking her inside his home in St. Andrew. The case was serious, but it was later dropped in 2016 after the woman passed away. Jakur. Jakur is a reggae singer from Jamaica, famous for his smooth voice and emotional songs about love and pain. He started getting attention in 1997 when he dropped a powerful track called King in This Jungle with Sizzla. That song was produced by reggae legend Beres Hammond, who later became Jakur's mentor and helped guide his early music career. In 1998, Jakur went on tour in Europe and across the Caribbean with Beres and the Harmony House crew, and fans everywhere started falling in love with his voice. But right when things were going great for him, Jakur's life took a big turn. In November 1998, while driving through Montego Bay, police pulled him over. He was arrested and later charged with robbery, gun possession, and assault. In 1999, he was found guilty and sentenced to 15 years in prison. Still, even behind bars, he didn't stop singing. He kept recording music from prison, and some of those songs became hits in Jamaica. He even dropped 3 full albums from jail. He was released on parole in 2007 after serving 8 years. But Jakur's name has kept coming up, less for music and more for his wild behavior with women. In 2020, a private video of him was leaked online. In it, Jakur could be heard angrily confronting a woman he said he paid $600 to, along with her friend. He was furious because, according to him, they took his money but didn't sleep with him. He cursed the woman out and told her he had been watching both of them closely. He even complained about how they turned on his air conditioning with the door open, which he said would make his light bill go up. But most of all, he was mad that he didn't get what he paid for, and he made it clear that if he couldn't sleep with the women, he wanted his money back immediately. The woman on the other end of the video sounded scared. Jakur was making serious threats, and even though he didn't admit to hurting her physically, he didn't deny it either. Instead, he said he was upset because he felt the women had used him and stolen from him. Maka Diamond. Maka Diamond is a Jamaican recording artist, singer, and songwriter. Early in her career during the 1980s, she was known by the stage names Lady Charm, Lady Worries, and Lady Mackerel. She came up in the 1980s watching icons like Sister Nancy and Lady Ann run the mic and decided she wanted in on the action. With the help of Lady Junie, she got her first real break and dropped Don Girl. From there, it was hit after hit, linking up with names like Captain Barkey and Wickerman, until she finally rebranded as Maka Diamond with her 2003 single TechCon, a clapback at Bibs Cartel's woman-bashing lyrics. But while Maka's music was full of attitude and fight, her private life was where things got really steamy. In 2020, Maka Diamond joined OnlyFans, and that's when things exploded. People were already watching her, but now they were watching every single inch. Then the illicit photos started leaking. One had her posted up on a stove while a man had his face buried between her legs. Another showed her stretched out on a sofa arm with the same man clinging to her thighs, clearly going down for seconds. When the internet caught wind of it, people lost their minds. Some were clutching their pearls, calling her out for promoting oral sex. But Maka didn't flinch. She said the pics were from her upcoming music video Twist Me, and she had no idea how they leaked. She clapped back at the haters, calling them hypocrites, reminding them how Bibs Cartel made Freaky Gal, and nobody said a word. She said, "When men sing about it, everybody's excited, but when a woman owns her sexuality, suddenly it's a problem." If you're enjoying this video, appreciate it by giving it a thumbs up. And if you have not subscribed, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button. Dangel. Dangel is a model, actress, brand ambassador, and even a motivational speaker when she feels like switching it up. In 2017, she dropped No Worries with Spice, and the streets loved it. People started calling her the First Lady of Dancehall, and not just because of the music, but because she knew how to turn heads every time she stepped on stage. Back in 2006, Dangel married Beanie Man, one of the biggest names in dancehall. They had a son together and even made a song called One Man, which had fans believing they were the dream couple. But the love didn't last. They broke up in 2010, got back together in 2011, and then split for good not long after. Behind the scenes, things were way more heated than anyone knew. Dangel's career continued to flourish. She performed at the Irama Awards in New York, took home the Sing J of the Year title in 2009, and had multiple nominations for Best Female DJ. In 2008, she even snagged the People's Choice Award at the Style Observer Awards. She lit up stages from Reggae Sumfest to Gala Day Bounce, with performances that were just as much about sex appeal as they were about vocals. In 2013, she pushed things a little too far for some folks. During a lyrical battle at Sting 30 with Ninja Man, Dangel got so raunchy the organizers banned her from the show for 5 years. Billboard even called her outfit provocative and revealing, but that's exactly what Dangel was going for. By 2020, Dangel took things even further. She'd been teasing fans with steamy photos online, posing in lingerie, showing off her long legs and setting thirst traps like it was her second job. Then later on, she announced that she was officially joining OnlyFans. the same platform where stars drop their most explicit no-filter content. Dangel had no shame in her game. She was ready to cash in on her sex appeal. But things got messy when some extra wild pictures leaked. One pic had her on a kitchen counter, another had a man's head buried between her legs. Beanie Man, now her ex, spoke up about it later in an interview. He wasn't thrilled, especially since their son Marco was now a teenager. He said, "She's supposed to think about that." Beanie Man was clearly not cool with their boy seeing those images of his mom. But Dangel wasn't apologizing. She told people she had to do what she had to do. Ninja Man. Ninja Man, also known as Don Gorgon, is one of Jamaica's most well-known dancehall artists. He's famous not just for his music, but also for his wild personality and wild lifestyle. In the late 1980s, he rose to fame with a song called Protection, which he did with Courtney Melody. From there, Ninja Man became known for his sharp tongue, violent lyrics, and the way he delivered his songs, fast, stuttering, and full of energy. He didn't write most of his lyrics down. Instead, he would go into the studio and come up with them on the spot, earning him a reputation for being quick and unpredictable. Between 1989 and 1992, songs like Border Clash, Murder Dem, and Above the Law helped build his image as a bad man in the dancehall world. He also had public fights with other artists like Shabba Ranks, Florgon, and Supercat, which only added to his rude boy image. But outside the studio and stage, Ninja Man was living a different kind of wild life, one filled with countless women and children. People got their first real look into his personal life when dancehall star Baby Cham shared an old video of Ninja Man being interviewed by journalist Emily Shields. She asked him a simple question: "How many children do you have?" Ninja Man didn't even blink before answering 23 children with 22 baby mothers. The video quickly went viral. Cham posted it with the caption, "23, 22 baby mother, legend." Fans were shocked, but Ninja Man didn't stop there. A few years later, he gave another update. By 2012, he claimed he had 29 children with 28 different women. And just before going to prison in 2017 for a murder charge, Ninja Man revealed that the number had gone up again, this time to 33 children with 32 baby mothers. To say Ninja Man was addicted to sex is putting it lightly. He didn't just love women. He collected baby mothers like some people collect trophies. Every few years, the number went up, like it was some kind of score. Whether it was fame, charm, or pure impulse, Ninja Man clearly couldn't stay away from women. Horus Andy. Horus Andy is a famous Jamaican roots reggae singer known for his beautiful voice and classic songs like Skylarking, Government Land, Angel, and Spying Glass. He started making music in the 1970s and quickly became one of reggae's most unique voices. But behind his music, Horus Andy's personal life was a little more complicated, especially when it came to relationships and children. In 1977, at the beginning of his career, Horus Andy moved to Hartford, Connecticut with his first wife, Claudette. It was during this time that he recorded his famous album In the Light, which included tracks like Do You Love My Music and Government Land. The album showed off his deep connection to reggae even while he was living far from Jamaica. However, by the mid-1980s, Horus and Claudette's marriage ended. He moved to London with his second wife, Caroline, and continued to record music. While living in the UK, Andy often traveled back to Jamaica to work with top reggae producers. It was during these trips that he met many women, some of whom became his wives. Over the years, Horus Andy became known for fathering 30 children, whom she got by sleeping with 17 different women. When he was asked about it, he responded casually saying, 17, you get two kids, you know. Remember, some of them were young and lived with their parents. We na think about family them time. Alton Ellis. Alton Ellis, often called the godfather of rocksteady, was one of Jamaica's most influential voices in reggae music. His songs, full of emotion, helped shape the sound of a generation. But while his music was full of sweet melodies, his personal life was far more complicated, with a long list of relationships. Alton's music career started in the early 1960s when he and Eddie Parkins made a hit with Muriel, a song Alton wrote while doing construction work. As ska music evolved into the slower, groovier rocksteady, Ellis became known not just for his voice but for his strong messages. While other artists leaned into the rough and rebellious rude boy culture, Ellis chose to stand out with songs that warned against trouble, like Dance Crasher and Don't Trouble People. But behind his strong, anti-rude boy stance, Alton Ellis's personal life told a different story. He was married to Pearl, a woman who became the inspiration behind some of his most famous tracks. His hit song, I'm Still in Love with You, came from a painful time in their marriage when Ellis was unfaithful. After he cheated, Pearl left him, and he poured his heartbreak into the song. In a 2008 obituary, it was noted that Ellis fathered more than 20 children, including reggae singers Noel Ellis and Christopher Ellis. His family life was described as complex, with multiple relationships contributing to his large number of offspring. He had a reputation for being a man of many lovers, and his personal relationships were as dramatic as his music. Bob Marley. Bob Marley was the man who turned reggae into an international sensation. His blend of reggae, ska, and rocksteady, paired with his unique voice and powerful lyrics, shaped the music scene like never before. It all began in 1963 when he formed the Teenagers with Peter Tosh and Bunny Wailer, which later became the Wailers. Their first album, The Wailing Wailers, came out in 1965 and included the iconic song One Love, which would go on to become a global anthem. Marley's fame grew even more after signing with Island Records. As the band changed its name to Bob Marley and the Wailers, they released albums that would go down in history, making Marley one of the best-selling artists of all time with over 75 million records sold. But behind the music and the message of unity, Bob Marley's personal life was far more complicated. On February 10, 1966, at just 21 years old, he married Rita Anderson, who was 19. They were married in Kingston, Jamaica, but just one day later, Bob left for the United States, chasing his dream of building a music career and starting his own record label. Rita joined him later in Delaware, where they lived with Bob's mother. They spent years moving between the U.S. and Jamaica, raising their family while Bob worked on his music career. Through it all, Rita was there, supporting Bob's rise to fame. But as their career grew, Bob's loyalty to Rita began to fade. It's well known that Bob Marley had relationships with many women during his life, many of which resulted in children. His first affair was with Janet Hunt, who gave birth to Rohan Marley. He later had children with several other women, including Pat Williams, who had Robert Marley. Bob's travels to Europe also led to relationships with women in London. He met Lucy Pounder, who gave birth to Julian Marley, and Janet Bowen, who had their daughter Karen. Bob's relationships weren't limited to women in Europe either. He also had a child with Anita Belnavis, a Jamaican table tennis champion, who became the mother of Kaimani Marley. Another woman, Yvette Crichton, also had a child with Bob. However, one of Bob's most famous relationships was with Cindy Breakspear, a former Miss World. They had a long affair starting in the 1970s, which continued until Bob's passing in 1981. Their son, Damian Marley, also grew up to be a successful artist. Cindy herself revealed that many of Bob's songs were inspired by her. Throughout it all, Rita remained by Bob's side. Despite the pain caused by his many affairs and children with other women, she never left him. In her book No Woman, No Cry, My Life with Bob Marley, Rita described the deep hurt she felt from his infidelities, but also expressed the immense love she had for him. Kapton. Kapton is a prominent figure in reggae music, who began his career in the late 1980s. It was in 1989 that his big break arrived, thanks to a man named Stuart Brown, who owned a popular sound system in Toronto called African Star. Stuart recognized Kapton's raw talent and flew him to Canada, where Kapton performed at a stage show alongside other established names in the industry, such as Ninja Man and Flurgan. This was Kapton's first introduction to an international audience, marking a significant moment in his rise to fame. Kapton's career continued to gain momentum, and in 1992, he released the song Almshouse, which quickly became a massive hit. It was one of the songs that firmly established Kapton as a leading artist in reggae music. With its success, Kapton was able to solidify his position in the music scene. However, as with many artists, his journey was not without its challenges and controversies. In 2018, Kapton's life took a shocking turn when he was arrested and charged with assault. A woman who worked as a hairdresser claimed that Kapton had hired her to groom his hair at a hotel in New Kingston on April 28th. She alleged that during their meeting, Kapton held her down and forced her to have sex with him. The woman went to the police days later on May 2nd, and the charges were brought against Kapton. Kapton, however, had a different version of events. He went to the police himself, claiming that the woman was attempting to extort money from him. The case went through a series of legal proceedings, and Kapton was formally charged. It became a highly publicized issue with much attention surrounding both Kapton's reputation and the allegations made against him. The case was eventually brought before the Kingston and St. Andrew Parish Court. After a thorough committal proceeding, the judge ruled that there was no prima facie case against Kapton. Essentially, this meant that there was insufficient evidence to support the claims made by the woman. As a result, the charges were dismissed, and Kapton was cleared of all allegations in March 2019. While the entire issue gained widespread attention, Kapton maintained his innocence throughout the process. Which of these stars do you think is the worst sex freak? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on our latest content.